Meet the 2018 Honda Mobilio, whose design has dramatically changed from being Brio-ish to more city-ish, which is a great thing because at this price point, you'd expect the features to be closer to that of the sedan rather than the small entry-level hatchback. And this particular unit has got more flair because this is the RS. The 2018 Mobilio is literally a facelift version of the older one, with most of its changes being found up front, specifically the hood and the headlamps. Now the hood still has the nose-down styling of an MPV, however it is a little bit raised, which gives it a much beefier look. The headlamps, as you can see, are more angular compared to the curvy ones of its predecessor, and to complete the RS look, it gets an upgrade with a black wing grille. As for the rest of the exterior design, everything pretty much stays the same, save for the new rims and this Phoenix Orange Pearl, a color specific only to the RS variant. Let's talk about cargo space. When configured for 7, sorry, not much space. We've got our camera equipment, audio equipment, and space for really not much else. However, when you do fold the third rows down and pop it up, that space increases exponentially, which goes even further if you fold the second rows to 521 liters. That's a lot. Aside from the exterior changes, the biggest revamp would be in the Mobilio's interior. See, it leans away from being Brio-ish, as we mentioned, and now pretty much has a city cabin. The gauge clusters have an amber light around them. This Navi RS has, obviously, Navi, and paddle shifters. Oh, and what's worth mentioning is that the seats. The old Mobilio RS had blue stitching. This one has orange, which reaches all the way at the back. Speaking of which, the amount of space found in the second row is massive. Look at the amount of legroom and headroom I have sitting behind my own driving position. Yes, I know I'm short, but you do know where I'm getting at, right? Unfortunately, there isn't much else back here to do. See, there's no center armrest and there's no power outlets for you to charge your, equipment. But there are 3 very big cup holders and 3 very large vents found in the ceiling, which can cool the second and third rows on a very, very hot summer's day. Accessing the third row, not a problem at all. Second row folds easily, folds back up easily, and you're done. Again, as mentioned, I'm not the tallest guy on the planet, so even with this amount of space back here, I'd say leave it for the kids. The Mobilio shares the same engine as the Jazz and the City, which is a 1.5 IV tech. Now it is the biggest amongst the 3, but it doesn't seem to have a problem pulling all that weight. Now you might be thinking I'm talking to you about this when it's just me and Vincent inside the car. You'd be right, except we tested this yesterday with 6 people on board. I was driving and the engine didn't have any problems, although we were on EDSA, but it didn't have any problems on any inclines or downhills, well, for that matter. It didn't feel as if that the engine had to heave to get going, which is very good. It just basically means that the 120 horses it produces is, well, enough. The steering is, as you would expect, average. It's light in the city and tightens up when you're on the highway. The ride, comfortable. Suspension, good. Honda doesn't feel the need that they need to change anything because, well, it works. It still does, and it works well. No GNUs is good GNUs. If I had to nitpick, there would be one thing. See, every time you start the engine, a warning comes on in the infotainment system, and you have to agree to it for the radio to start working. And unfortunately, my friends, that gets old really fast. There is road noise, thanks largely to the eco tires that they fitted on the Mobilio. And what must be said too is that you can hear the compressor flip on every once in a while. That being said, it's not as if you have to scream at each other at the top of your lungs to be able to communicate. So, like its steering, the acoustics inside the cabin are average. And average is good. The Honda Mobilio RS Navi comes in at 1,029,000 Philippine pesos. Now, it is the most expensive of its Japanese rivals. However, it does have three things up on it. Number one, it's arguably got better looks. Number two, it's got a higher output engine. And number three, it is nothing short on features for an MPV.